Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, so anybody, all right, so we're still learning about the Pirkei Avos, ethics of our fathers, and I have such a good one. I really love this one. But before we start talking about exactly that, I just want to get us into a mindset. So anyone ever feel overwhelmed? Okay. Like you've hit the brick wall, like what's next? What's going to happen? All these kinds of like overwhelming feelings of anxiety, all kinds of things like that. So sometimes you stop and you say to yourself, like, God, why are you doing all this? Like, is this fair? There's an expression in Hebrew, zelo fair, this is not fair. So is it fair or isn't it fair? Is it fair?
Life's not fair.
What?
Life's not fair.
Fair. Okay, so I'm going to explain something to you that's really important for us to know. Life is not fair because God said it never will be.
And because we don't get what we want.
Yeah, so it's an interesting idea. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think sometimes, like, I'm finding that especially now with kids, like they really feel, very entitled. Like, it's really, really hard. Like, if it was hard for us to raise our kids, it's like on steroids today. Okay, I'm talking like really good, fine families that I have like the best parenting skills in the world, and yet the kids are like having very hard times. What's the word? Self-regulating. Like they can't take it if they don't get what they want. Why is it so much harder today than it ever was?
There's so much available.
Okay, so
I think peer pressure.
Okay, peer pressure, because today, like, okay, so we'll talk about these two things. So much more available, peer pressure. What's another one?
Social media.
Social media, which I think exaggerates peer pressure to a point that I don't think we've ever had it. Like you can see what's going on in everybody's life millions of miles away. You know what I mean? Like used to know, okay, I know about this one, know about that one. Now I know about everybody. Like it's really beyond. Okay, so very true. And
Stress.
Stress. Okay, what's everybody so stressed? Like, why are the kids stressed? That's what I'm trying to figure this out.
Because of peer pressure.
Yeah, maybe because of all these other pressures that we're talking about. Also, we have to understand this instant gratification. Okay, you never ever lived like in a situation where you get everything you want instantly. All right, like you can't find something. You took a vacation to Denver. All right, and you're like, oh my gosh, I really need this. What could you do to get whatever you need almost by tomorrow?
Order it online.
Yeah, order it online. Right? You're not like really, we're in a very different world, right? You want something, you get it. I want to talk to you, I call on my cell phone. I expect you to be available 24/7. And for some cases, people who are addicted are available 24/7. They're always answering their phone. Like you're not feeling, what did you have to do once upon a time?
You had to wait.
A big word, wait. Like, do you ever see people waiting in line? Like they're going cuckoo, right? Why do you think on purpose, like when people are waiting in line, like there's tons of food around and stuff for them to pick up and to buy? So that what? So they're distracted from waiting. Okay. So
it's also a sense of entitlement, I think.
Huge. Okay, that's Melanie's 100% right, and we're trying to get to the root of this sense of entitlement. So I think it's all those things, everything that you talked about. So everything is going like you want it immediately. Social media, you feel like everybody has it,
Yes.
Which is all a lie. Like I laugh my head off on this whole social media scene. I always tell people, like, if you could only read the bubble over their head, like they're standing in front of you, like, we're having that best vacation. And really, the bubble would say, my mother's making me make another stupid picture. I take another stupid picture. Like, really, it's so fake book, like it's so fake. It's just like, unfortunately, I know someone who always on, like, was on Facebook all the time, always posting all their wonderful stuff. Now they got divorced, so what did they have to post? Status change, right? But before, you had no idea. You're looking at all the pictures and thinking everything's so amazing, right? And now suddenly it's not. Do you know what I mean? Because it never was. But all of us were jealous like heck, right? We're looking at all this like the perfect family. That was not perfect. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So there is a lot of this overwhelmed and this and that and this and that. So God says something to right away, which I think is very important that we don't realize, is that God says, this world, I'm not promising you a rose garden. This world is not the world of reward, it's the world of work. And for you to be able to really work, that means there's some tension. You've got to accomplish something. You're going to have to put in the game, right? Like when Melanie's talking about these kids be very entitled, why is it making us all crazy? Because they really think they don't have to do anything. They just are supposed to get it. Do you know what I mean? Like that's how they look at it. Like it just comes to me. I don't have to give you anything. I don't have to thank you. Like I told you, I was like giving this class. Did I tell you this? I was giving this class to these girls in their 20s who are living at home, and they're having it very hard. Like still having to be at home. And they asked me if I could give a class on honoring your parents. Okay, because they're finding like they're feeling resentful. I said, what are you feeling resentful for? Well, because my parents make me do things. Like, I feel like I'm an independent person and they're asking me to help cook, or they're asking me to help do this, or they're asking me to. So I said to them, like, do you understand something? Your parents don't have to be doing anything for you anymore. You're 20 something years old. You think you're so independent? Go get a job, go find an apartment, go live on your own, go cook by yourself. And then you'll understand what you owe your parents. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Everybody getting what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like in their mind, it was like, I'm just here to
Take.
And God says, you came to this world to give. Could you imagine? That's what he's saying. He's saying it's a very different reality. So it's not that it's not fair. It's that people don't understand why they're here. So here you're for growth. Here you're for work. Now, what would be unfair? Unfair would be if I test you or if I give you work that you have no idea about. I don't give you a set of skills. I don't educate you. I just go, here, that's it. That's what you have to do. So what's God saying? He's saying, I'm going to give you things to do, but I gave you the Torah to know how to do them. I gave you the Torah to teach you how to be a mensch. I gave you the Torah to teach you how to navigate right through life. I'm going to give you the skill set that you'll be able to do it, right? And then God says, I'm not going to give you a challenge that you can't handle. And I'm not even going to leave you alone. I'll be there with you the whole time, trying to coach you through it. Okay. So what does this Pirkei Avos have to teach us? So what does this chapter in Ethics of Our Fathers have to teach us? So here is, I'm going to teach it to you. It's Mishnah 6, chapter 1. Okay. So it's a very famous one. I quote it a lot and I really like it, but I want us to get some more depth in it. So what does it say? Great rabbi, Yeshua ben Prachya, okay, Joshua ben Prachya. He used to say, number one, Oseh lecha rav, find for yourself, make for yourself a rabbi, a teacher, or a mentor. What does that mean? Make for yourself a rabbi, teacher, or mentor. What does that mean to you?
Somebody you can look up to.
Someone to look up to. How would I it's interesting, like someone to look up to. What would that mean?
Someone you trust.
Okay, so maybe we'll raise our hands because you guys are saying such good things and I want to hear everybody. Okay, so Phyllis, what would you say?
I think it's someone you trust, you respect, know that someone is honest.
Good. Okay, very good. Okay, what else?
Someone you admire.
Yeah, someone you admire. So why are you admiring them and why are you respecting them? That's what I want to know.
Because in your heart, you know they're doing the right thing.
Okay, excellent. Okay, very good. Anything else?
Well, they've got the tools.
Okay.
They know the Torah. They know the instructions of life.
Beautiful. Okay, absolutely beautiful. So these are people you look up to and you feel like, number one, they know their stuff. Okay, like they have life's experience, they have Torah's wisdom, they know what they're doing. And then what else? they need to be living it themselves. All right, that's very important, right? Because today you have people talking out of their mouth, but acting completely different, right? Like people, preaching all these great, he's a liar, he's a cheater. And meanwhile, he's the liar and he's the cheater. Right? It's like very scary how hypocritical people can be, right? So Aselecha Rav, why do I need it though? Okay, so I have this person I respect in life. I have this person who's like, I feel could be a mentor to me. Why do I need that mentor? Jackie, do you want to say something? Because okay, yeah, no? Okay, no, okay. So anybody, why would I want?
I'd
I
say
think-
Yeah, Sheila?
they'd show you how to do it.
Okay, perfect. Because I think in life, we come to crossroads, right? Where we need someone to help us make.
Humility.
Yes, it's
Also,
humility.
you realize you don't know everything.
Okay, amazing, amazing. So like, let's say today is an interesting idea. So in Judaism, we really have this, Oselecha Rav, you need to have a mentor, you need to have a rabbi, you need to have somebody that you trust who can help you with your decision making. So tell you a true story. Someone was just telling me their daughter's 25 and she was dating this guy who's 30. Okay, they've been on a couple dates and they're really, she was liking him, he was liking her. And then she said that to him. She said, I just want to know, do you have a rabbi that you ask? Like when you're, you need some advice, do you have a mentor? Do you have somebody that you ask your questions to? And this was his answer. I'm still looking. So when she got home, she told her mother, I don't want to date him anymore. Because if he's 30 years old and he still hasn't found anybody, he's probably not going to find anybody. Because this is someone who's been exposed to a lot of people. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So what's dangerous about marrying someone who doesn't have anybody that they ask their questions to or, go for advice to? Why is that a scary person to marry?
Because they think they know it all.
And when you think you know it all, then what happens when you don't think the same as your wife? Then what happens?
You're the one that's right and she's wrong.
Exactly.
You cross swords.
And
You
there's,
cross swords.
yes, you cross swords and there's a lot of conflict. So today we really need to really tell our kids, you got to know somebody before you get married, that when you guys are going to have your little tips and taps and this and that, right? And sometimes they're not such big deals. You just need someone to straighten you out and show people how to compromise and to tell each side, compromising makes you better. It doesn't mean you lost. Do you know what I'm saying? It would be such a difference. So when the Torah said Oselecha Rav, the Torah knows what it's talking about. So it's very interesting because I liked a lot of the things that you said. And I want to say one other thing that the Torah says when it says how to pick your rabbi, your mentor, your teacher. So I liked a few, let's see what we said. So first of all, you respect them and they have Torah wisdom and you feel they're honest. I thought that was a very important one. So how the Torah describes their honesty. The Torah says, find someone who looks like an angel. So Rav Noach Weinberg asked, what does that mean? Find someone who looks like an angel, like they have wings and they fly around? No. Okay, what does it mean looks like an angel? An angel does one job. What's the one job does? What is the one job the angel does? He does God's will. He does God's will. He does God's will. So what do you want? You want someone who's not in it for themselves. Do you know what I'm trying to talk about? Like, let's say today you have a lot of these leaders and they're really in it for their own pocket. Like they're pretending like, oh, I'm going to take care of you people. I'm here for you. I'm going to lower taxes. I'll make sure you're all okay. And meanwhile, you find out that they've been taking, millions of dollars in bribes. You know what I'm saying? They're not in it for themselves. A person has to be in it. I'm in it for God and God's children. Right? I'm in it so I can help God's children. That's why I'm really in it. Do I have to make a living? Yeah, but do I have to only do this for money and get bribes and take presents? And no, you see what I'm saying? So that helps because if they're in it for themselves, then how honest are they going to be with you when they have to give you advice?
Yeah.
If it conflicts with their will and what they want, they're not going to be honest.
Right, they're not. And they may give you advice that just makes you like them. right? Not necessarily what's good for you, but what just makes you like them so that they can be where they have to be. Do you see what I'm saying? So the Torah, so it makes a lot of sense. So you got to be really like, in other words, the Torah is trying to tell you there are going to be times in your life where you're going to feel overwhelmed and where you're not going to know what to do. And you're going to feel like help, help, help. So the Torah is telling you, let me tell you how to navigate through this. So I want to explain something that's really important. Today is a new world. Okay, so there is not only physical health to consider. What is a very big player in today's world? Not just physical health. What's the next one?
Mental health.
Mental health. Okay? It's like the world changing this fast, and what we're doing in it is giving everybody a lot of
Anxiety.
Good for you. Okay, like good for you, really good. So giving you a lot of anxiety. So they have this thing now, which I think is very interesting. It's called mental hygiene. You know, like there's something called physical hygiene. So now there's mental hygiene. So what's physical hygiene? Give me an example of physical hygiene.
Keeping yourself clean.
Yes. And what else? Like what do you teach your little kids?
Exercising.
Yeah, exercising, brushing your teeth. You know what I mean? These are all like the physical hygiene. So now mental hygiene is just very, very interesting. Mental hygiene today, what they're recommending is shut off all the electronics. That's good mental hygiene, that people have to learn how to be a little bit with themselves. People are having a very hard time being by themselves. Like they always have to be on the phone or checking the phone or this thing, that. So they're talking about like today, teenagers don't want to go to camp anymore. Why don't they want to go to camp? Because they're not allowed to take the phone. Like you're not allowed to be sitting all day in camp on your phone. So now the teenagers are like, I don't want to go. If I can't get my phone, I don't want to go. It's like crazy, right? So I'm going to just tell you a very beautiful story that I heard when it talks about this idea of get for yourself a rabbi. So it's a very famous rabbi and a therapist, Rabbi Dr. Hirsch Weintraub. Has anybody ever heard of him? Rabbi Dr. Hirsch Weintraub. He's head of the OU. You know, has anybody ever heard of the OU? Orthodox Union, right? So the Orthodox Union is huge. Like if you're looking for a kosher symbol, you look for
Yes,
an OU.
yes.
So it's also, it's why it's huge. It's the biggest Jewish Orthodox organization. Okay, so it's huge. It touches all gamuts of Jewish life. Okay, you see it's mostly in the United States. That's why we're not going to hear about it so much here. Okay, so this man who is a rabbi and a doctor and so what's the word, accomplished. When he was 30 years old, he said he had a midlife crisis. That's early, but he had it at 30. All right. So he was in his career. He was studying to be the rabbi. He was like doing all these things. And he didn't know what to do with himself. Like he just found himself in a depression. He found himself very lost. And he was close to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He was embarrassed to tell the Rebbe that he was having these problems, but he knew only the Rebbe could help him. Like he knew that. Like he knew he would be a good mentor for him. So he called the Rebbe's office, and the secretary picked up the phone, who always like was in the room with the Rebbe, helping him with, translating what people were saying on the phone, etc. Because the Rebbe basically spoke Yiddish more than English. You know what I mean? Like, so he would be there, and just to filter the calls also. So this Rabbi Dr. Hirsch is 30 years old. He's like depressed. He's doubting God. He's doubting everything. He just doesn't know where to put himself. You know what I mean? And he calls the Rebbe, and the secretary picks up, and the secretary says, hello. And he says, who is this? So he didn't want to say his name. So he said, it's a man in Maryland, a Jewish man in Maryland, who is feeling very down, who needs help, who needs some advice about their career and about their spirituality. And I would like to ask the Rebbe some questions. Okay, fine. So the Rebbe says, so who is it? Okay. So the secretary says that over to the Rebbe. Okay. So then the Rebbe says, ask him again what he wants. They ask him again. He says, yes, I need career help. I need this help. Okay, fine. So repeat it to the Rebbe. So the Rebbe says, tell the man, I have a good idea for him. I have someone who should speak to him. It's a man in Maryland. Fine.
The same guy.
Right, Sheila, very smart. So he's like, I wonder who it is. he says, so the secretary goes, I hear him, I hear the Rebbe, but could you ask the Rebbe who it is? So he says to the Rebbe, who is it? So the Rebbe says, Weintraub. The man's name is Weintraub. He lives in Maryland, the Jewish man in Maryland. So he was so shocked, he couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it. So he says to the secretary, who is it again? And he says, the secretary says, Weintraub. He goes, Weintraub? That's my name. So the secretary is like, I can't believe it. And the secretary says, if that's your name, then you need to be talking to yourself. He goes, no, check with the rabbi, check with the rabbi. So the rabbi says, yeah, sometimes before you go and even ask someone else, sit down just with yourself, just with yourself and sort yourself. See how you really, get into yourself. I thought it was such a beautiful idea. So here's yeah, it's not lovely. So here's what I'm trying to express to you. Sometimes you think, the Mishnah is telling you, go pick a rabbi, and then the rabbi will give you all advice, and you'll just do what the rabbi says. No, sometimes the rabbi is going to turn around on you, and he's going to say, you know what? You know the answer. Be confident in yourself. Dig down deep. Do you see what I'm trying to say? It's not like a quick fix, ask the rabbi. It's not a quick fix. In fact, I think it was you, Phyllis, you said the key word here. You need a lot of humility. You need a lot of humility to be able to ask for help. And then what's the second part?
To be able to internalize it. To accept
Yes, accept it.
it.
How many times we want to, you go into any therapist and every therapist will tell you that when the person walks in, the first thing they want to show the therapist is that they're smarter than the therapist. Okay? There's just something about it. You just don't want to show people that kind of vulnerability. So every therapist has to go through the person trying to always show the therapist how smart they are. It's just the way it is. Do you know what I mean? Remember what we said, we have very big egos. What do egos like? To look good. How good do they like to look? Better than everyone else. Okay. So when you're having a conflict, right, between two people, what's really going on here? Two egos are very engaged, and each ego is trying to show the other ego that I look better than you. Do you know what I mean? So this takes a lot of incredible humility, all right, to be able to handle these stories. Okay, so now what's the second thing that this Mishnah says? This Mishnah, the second thing says, and it's a very funny word, buy for yourself a friend. Mamish buy, that's the word, konel lecho chaver. So now I want you to tell me what is going on. What does this word buy for yourself mean? What would you think that means?
To acquire.
Yes.
To invest in.
Okay, excellent.
Oh, invest.
Isn't that great? So that's great. It's investing. And also you should know that when you buy something, you are exchanging equal value. It's equal value. So if I am looking for a really good friend,
I have to be a good friend.
100%. Do you see? If I am looking for a good friend, then I have to be a good friend. Now, the Torah, the Gemara tells you, the Talmud tells you the definition of a good friend. Now, I'm curious what you think a definition of a good friend is, and then let's see if we hit on what the Gemara says.
Somebody who brings you closer to Hashem.
Okay, such a smart little cookie, you. Okay. Okay, so how does somebody, now this is a tough one. Now, Phyllis, everybody think, Phyllis is right. Long-term goal, someone who brings you closer to God. Okay, so I've got a few questions on it. Number one, why is that being a good friend?
You've got to be moral, and you've got to be honest. You've got to be caring and loving.
Yeah, so you will be the best person that you can be. And also, they're saying today, what is, somebody wrote a book. It's Brian something who wrote a book on, it's something called The Survivors. The guy was an atheist, a complete atheist. All right. So he wrote a book. He interviewed Holocaust survivors and tsunami survivors and all these people who survived incredible difficulty. What was the common thread between all the people who survived all the difficulty?
I think they had faith.
Had faith. He actually said, he feels like he has to relook at his life. He was like a total atheist. Okay. So he had faith. So when you have faith, you're right. Like Phyllis is right. First of all, learning Torah will make you that better person, gives you a deeper consciousness. And then the second thing is you will have it's an anchor through your life. Okay. It's the greatest gift, the greatest friend, the greatest mentor, the greatest everything is to have Hashem in your life. There's no doubt about it. Right? Right? You can compare without like life without faith. I don't know how anybody. In fact, what's happening today when you have life without faith, people who are getting, hearing news that isn't that great about their health, they almost instantly want to turn to assisted suicide, right? It's almost like an instant, because like when, what do I need this life for if I can't do what I want to do? You know what I mean? And it's really getting scary, right? People aren't getting what they want, then they don't see a greater picture. Do you see what I mean? Okay, so you want a friend who's going to make you get closer to God. Now, to make you do this, what's the friend going to have to be with you?
Honest.
Ah, you got it. So that's what the Torah tells you. A good friend is a friend who is willing to be honest with you. And that's very hard. Like, I know it might sound funny, but it's hard. You're going to call up and you're going to complain about, my daughter did this and my son-in-law did that. And this is this. And she might say to you, you know what? You're being unfair. You need to think that over. And you're like, what did you just say? What do you mean? Like, in other words, a good friend keeps the bar high for you, right? They're trying to tell you you're bigger or better than that. That's very hard for people to hear. Do you know what I mean? Like that's why you can only have, look at what the Torah says, Koneh lecha chaver. What does that mean? One. You just need one of these super special friends that can be honest with you and you can be honest with them, and you're not gonna like get sensitive, and because you're both on that same thing. I want to get closer to God. I want to be a better person. I want to get closer to God. I want to be a better person. And we're going to team up, right? Then we're going to team up. So who were the two people that the Torah uses as an example? David HaMelech and Yonatan. So who were they? David HaMelech, everybody knows who King David is. Yonatan was the son of King Saul. What was the hard part about King Saul? He hated King David.
Yeah.
Hated him and wanted to kill him. Okay. So here is the prince in the palace, best friends with David. These two people were risking their lives to be good friends. And why did they say about each other? They loved each other because they wanted to see each other be the best that they could be. And Yonatan said, I don't even want to be the prince. I don't need to be the prince, right? If you were anointed by God, you're supposed to be the prince. The father had kind of lost it, but Yonatan, he had got it. So much so that he said, I'm honored to be your friend. And David said, I'm honored to be your friend. And they would tell each other off. Yonatan would give Musar. He'd rebuke David. And like, in fact, David would say, Yonatan, I don't need, right? When people are in power and they have money and they have looks and they have this and they have that, what's the problem? They never know who's their true friend. Do you know that? I had a friend once like that. She had it all. And she would say to me all the time, like, I don't know who's my true friend, because people just want to be around me because, friends with benefits, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Because people are afraid to tell them the truth. So David and Yonatan, they like made that pact between each other. We are not going to be afraid to tell each other the truth. So it was like such an incredible friendship. So Torah tells you gain 3 things when you have such a friend. Okay, 1, Torah wisdom, just like Phyllis was saying. Okay, 1 is Torah wisdom. The second one is, hold on one second. I just want to find it because my mind just went a little blanky. No, which does happen. Okay, hold on. What was the other one? Oh, growth. Like we said, you grow, you become a better person. And the third thing is you have someone to share your burden with. Okay, so that's a very important thing. This idea of sharing your burden, you want to be able to share with someone who what? Think about this one. I'm going to tell you my deepest secrets. What do I really want to know?
They're not gonna tell everybody.
Yeah. Okay, that's
Trust.
really right. Trust. Okay, that's huge. Okay, so the three things again, you're going to get Torah wisdom, you're going to be a better person, right? Because they're going to direct you, and you're going to be able to right, unload. And the Torah tells you this is huge. Like, it's really important to give people that opportunity to be a trusting friend and let people tell you their tsuris, because they really say, the Torah says, like, a burden shared is half a burden, right? And that's why you'll see in the Torah a lot of times, like, it sounds very funny. We're always talking about, like, if, you see a man and his donkey's really heavy, run over there and take the load off. So the Torah is telling you that that is referring to two ideas. One, really to help the donkey, or it's as if the person themselves has this like huge load, right? They have like a whole big stress, and you're going over there to help them to take the stress off. Okay, so now listen really super carefully. Okay, so we've worked really hard to find a rabbi, and we understand why. We've worked really hard to find this good friend, right? So now the Mishnah closes, it summarizes everything with this line. Okay, so I want to ask you, why do you think it does? Okay, so then this is the last line. And judge all men with the scale weighed in their favor. So what does that mean? Judge everyone, right? Kol ha'adam, all of the person. L'kaf zchus, which means to a positive side. Try to look around in life, and when things, you judge them favorably. Why would the rabbis choose to put that sentence right when it says, Oseh lecha rav, make for yourself a rabbi and buy for yourself a friend? Why? Think.
They understand.
They understand, but why should you? You've made all these choices, and now you need to judge these people favorably. Now the Torah is telling you, judge people favorably. Why?
Because sometimes people let you down.
Ah!
You've got to look at the big picture of what they've done for you previously, rather than this one problem.
That is totally incredible. And the Torah goes out of its way. Do you see how you said the big picture? The Torah goes out of its way to write kol ha'adam. In other words, look at the entire person. Sometimes this was your rabbi. He was a great rabbi, gives you all the eitzes. And at the Kiddush, he didn't say hello to you.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And then suddenly you forget. Your friend who is always there for you sends this email, and you read this email and you're like, what? Right? Misinterpreted the email. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, we really quick on this. This is a really important idea in life. And if you can be the kind of person, right, who's able to judge other people favorably, then what will people do back to you?
Do the same.
They'll do the same. And if you're the kind of person who's forever judging people unfavorably, it's very difficult to be your friend. Guys,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a true story. From Rabbi Afim Goldberg. Okay, Rabbi Afim Goldberg is a very renowned rabbi. He has 1,000 families in his shul in Boca Raton, Florida. Okay, like he's on the air, he's on a podcast, you name it, he's on it. Okay, so he told a story. He was invited to this wedding. It was a really beautiful wedding and a wonderful time. It was really nice. And then when it went down to, he goes to the table to get his place card. Okay, so he looks at the number, he puts it in his pocket, fine, or whatever. Okay, so then he walks over to the table I'm sorry. Yeah, he didn't look at the number. He just picked it up and put it in his pocket. That was the story. Picks it up in his pocket, walks over to the table, pulls it out, right? Looks at it and sits down. Hey, fine. He's waiting for people to come in. And then he realizes like he's been put on the wackiest table. Like he can't believe it. Like he's like, oh, okay, whatever. They didn't put him with the rabbis. They didn't put him with people from his shul. They put him with the friends of the chassan. Okay. So he's like sitting the whole night, he's okay. So he's talking to one guy. He kind of, had a nice conversation with him. But then, okay, it's time to go home. So he gets up off the table and he starts walking away and he starts thinking to himself, like, I don't believe this. Like, I can't believe I just spent a whole night on that table. Like, that was the table I should have been on. And that was the table I should have been on. And he puts his hand in his pocket and he wants to pull out the keys to his car. And he pulls out another place card with a different number. And then what did he realize? That he had,
It's not hard.
yes, and that he had an old place card in his pocket that he had picked out and went to sit at the wrong table because it was the wrong number. Do you see what's going on? Like, so it was just an interesting idea. Like it's hard for you to believe how far you have to go to really judge people favorably, but circumstances are such crazy circumstances. Do you know what I mean? Like circumstances can be beyond crazy. It can be beyond crazy, right? And it's like, what is it? Like there's an expression, some kind of like that reality is beyond fiction or something. You know what I mean? Like there's some kind of expression like that. So we're
It's
really
also meant to be. I mean, that he was meant to be at that table for a reason.
In the end, excellent that you said that. In the end, excellent that you said that. It was probably meant to be, and maybe the boy he was speaking to really got a lot of it. So I do want to tell you, like I went to Glenda David's funeral. She passed away. She's a good friend of Diane, a very nice lady. And I was really thinking, it was funny, like I was sitting at my computer. I'm good friends with her daughter, and I really knew Glenda. I knew Glenda very well also, and a blessed memory. And I was sitting at the computer and I wanted to go to that funeral, like, right? And I was doing this. I was actually doing this class. I was preparing this class. And I look up and it's like, oh my gosh, I only had 10 minutes. So I said, okay, either I'm going to finish this and I'll stay home, or I'm going. And I said, I'm going. Why? Because I want you to know the Mishnah tells you if you're invited to a wedding and you're invited to a funeral and they happen on the same day, better to go to the funeral.
Right.
They said you'll learn more from a funeral than you'll learn from a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got there, it was so interesting. I couldn't believe it. So first of all, the rabbi who spoke really knew Glenda. You know how often you go to these funerals and the rabbis really don't know the person at all. It's like the rabbi from the home, right? And he just has to go up and he gives like a very, what's the word? Generic, a very generic description because he doesn't really know the person. He really doesn't. So she really, Oselecha Rav, she made for herself a rabbi. Like she was close to this rabbi, so was the husband, Benny. I think it was on Bayview, the South African shul. And he would even paint for the rabbi. Like it was really beautiful. Like it was so nice to see it. Then when she was they were talking and they were saying about how she had her friends. And then they pointed out in the audience and they said they had one, Carol, I think was her name. She said, one special friend. Like she had many, but you, Carol, you helped her, with her immigration, like, coming to Canada, and you guys were always friends with them. And it was just so beautiful, right? And then her grandsons got up. So she has two grandsons, one really, really, really religious and one not. Okay, so it was like all, like her family is on all spectrums, right? The grandsons got up and it was so beautiful. And they said, we never, ever, ever felt judged. Like our family is so spread, but she never made one of us feel like this one is the smart, better family. And this is the crazy people who did this. You know what I mean? Like, and what she did was she kashered her house so that everybody could come. And it was very cute the way he said it. Like, and she would call up like, oh, if I put a fork in the spoon of the milkshake on the fleishik, like she would, call Andrea. She'd like really stay on top of it. But she never, ever made anyone, like she said, no, like the kids were saying they never, ever felt judged. You know what I mean? Like they were just unconditionally loved. So I really thought to myself when I came home and I heard them say that whole hesped, that whole eulogy for her, I said, like, thank you, Hashem. I really am so grateful because I learned from her. That's a living example of what this Mishnah is talking about. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's like important for us. Like sometimes you think, oh, you have to be, who knows who, Rebbitzin so-and-so to learn from. No, you don't have to be Rebbitzin so-and-so to learn from. Like everyone is that work in progress. Everyone's trying to be that better person. But it's really something that she used those tools. Those are the tools. So it was very interesting. Like I was even laughing. Like one grandson said, she never got mad if you didn't call her, like she never got mad. She didn't stand on principle. You know what I mean? Like you called, she would just go, oh, I'm so happy to hear from you. Hope you call me again, But it was just like, I just thought it was like such a beautiful thing. So you just see like these things that the Mishnah is trying to teach you. What's it trying to really give you? The Torah is trying to give you exactly what we're talking about. Mental well-being, like emotional well-being, physical well-being, spiritual well-being. That's what it's trying to give you. Like there's no better holistic approach than these ideas because they touch on everything that we are made of. God as our creator, our father, our mother, our whatever, provider, our you name it. He knows it. He's got the pulse on us. Do you know what I mean? So when he gave over the Torah, he gave over these understandings, right? That can make you so much deeper and richer. So I just think it's so beautiful. So anybody have anything they want to comment or say about this Mishnah or anything you want to say? We're good. We're good, ladies. Yes. Okay. So I really want to say how much I appreciate, I'm going to say, when you like participate and you think in this and that, it just makes it so like, I love it. I find it so enriching, like to hear everyone's ideas. So I just wanted to tell you that I appreciate that so much. Okay. So everybody, a good, sweet week. Right?
Thank you.
Okay, all the
And
best,
to you too.
everyone.
Thank you. All the best for
Thank
your
you, Gail.
grandchild.
And
Okay,
Masa
yes,
Tutu
amazing.
Daddy's
Gail.
breast, God.
Oh, there, hi. I'm so
Thank
happy
you.
you were on. So
Yes,
you
I was on all the time, but I didn't put the thing on
got
because my iPad or my little thing
That's so nice.
didn't have any charge.
Yeah, oh, okay, but nice to see you. So happy you
Sorry, I
came
was
on.
here. I heard
Okay.
it.
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. Okay, good to see
Okay.
everyone. Hi, Lauren. Nice to see you too. Okay, all the
Thank
best for
you.
everybody. Okay,
You
bye-bye.
too.
Thank
And
you.
good luck for the bris.
Amen.
God.
Yeah.
We're
God,
waiting.
go
We're
well.
trying our best. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye, Gail. Thank you. Bye.